Hey kids, Pastor Winston here. So last week, you guys heard the full story of David and Goliath, and I hope you all enjoyed that. Now, this story has been told for thousands of years, and a lot of people draw inspiration from it. They think to themselves, what are the Goliaths in our life, right? It might be a big problem we're facing that we're really afraid of and intimidated by. And we think of ourselves as the hero of the story, David, the underdog, the one who's going to overcome the challenges that seem too great, but in the end will be victorious, right? So it's a beautiful way of thinking about the problems that we face in life, that we can overcome these great challenges that really scare us, but we can be courageous, like Ben was explaining to us, and be able to overcome those challenges. At the same time, I think as we're talking this month about loving ourselves, what does it mean to love ourselves? We have to think about this story that Goliath can be seen as a bully, right? And we do as kids and even as grown-ups deal with bullies sometimes in our lives. And so it was a very different time in history, right? When David had to fight Goliath. People sometimes resolved conflict through violence and through fighting, right? But I think it's worth noting that that's not always the way that we should solve things in today's world, right? We can get in big trouble if we're violent and fight like that. So we have to think, how do we respond when people bully us? And that has a lot of connection to how we feel about ourselves, because oftentimes when people bully us, it might not even be violent. It might be just something they're saying to us that makes us not feel good about ourselves, that makes us feel bad about ourselves. They might say that we're not good, or that we stink at doing certain things and stuff like that that are really not nice, and make us not feel good about ourselves once again. So how do we respond to that? And we want to think, like, in today's world, we need to think of ways to respond differently. So you might just think about, when we meet a bully, is hurting them really the best solution? Probably not in today's world, right? Things are very different. What are some other ways that we can deal with bullies? Well, we might want to reach out to a grown up for help. We might want to reach out to our friends. If they're around, we might walk away or tell the bully strongly and confidently to stop. Or, ask them to have empathy, and say, how would you feel if someone was treating you this way? We want to believe in ourselves and be strong and stand up to the bullies sometimes. But we also have to realize that in every situation, it could be a little different. Maybe the best thing is to run away, to get help from a grown up, especially if you see someone else getting bullied. Might want to call for help or step in and support that person who's being bullied and say, hey, this is not okay what you're doing, and we're not going to allow that, right? We all have to help each other, and keep each other accountable sometimes, to treat each other in a good way, in a right way. And that's what we're taught largely. That's why we learn from Jesus, right? To treat our neighbors in a loving way, and to stand up against injustice and those kind of things. So we might also want to reflect on what makes people act like bullies. Why do people act like this sometimes? It's easy to kind of make people into the enemy and say, well, they're just bad people. But we sometimes want to remember bullies might sometimes act that way because of what they're feeling inside. Maybe they're feeling, lonely. I mean, I'm sure it can't feel good when they're mean to other people. They might act that way, but sometimes bullies are also feeling, hurt inside, or lonely, or not good about themselves. So sometimes, when we all try to befriend one another, that can be helpful as well. So there's no easy answer to all this, but I just wanted to encourage you all to think about different ways we can respond to bullies than the way that David responded to Goliath, even though we get a lot of inspiration from that story. So if we want to also turn this week to our craft, is going to be a box of affirmations. So what that means is that we want to ask our grown-ups, our family, our friends, what are some things that you think are good about me? Maybe some memories you have of something you did that you were proud of. And you want to use your piece of paper in there. You can cut slips of paper up and just write on those things that make you feel good about yourself and proud. And you can collect those. things that other people have said about you that you're proud of, and the things they like and love about you. And you can collect them and put them in a box so that sometimes if you're really not feeling good about yourself that day, not feeling confident, not it's being a little bit hard to love yourself, you can look in that box and remind yourself of all the reasons why you are a good person and a beautiful person, worthy of love, and that you should have a good sense of being proud of yourself and loving yourself. All right. So I hope you all enjoy that this week, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Go Peace Powers.